Today we're comparing and contrasting two fairly well-known vehicle platforms, the American Stryker from General Dynamics and the German Boxer from the Artec joint venture comprising Rheinmetall and KNDS Deutschland. These two vehicles have similar roles as highly mobile 8x8 armoured fighting vehicle platforms. However, they also have their fair share of differences. Thus, we thought it would be interesting to put them side by side. So, let's get started. In terms of background and history, the Stryker is the older platform, having entered service with the U.S. Army in 2002. U.S. Army Chief of Staff at the time, General Eric Shinseki, was the architect behind the creation of the Stryker. It was in the late 1990s that the general identified a gap in the U.S. military. Heavy armor was too slow to deploy, while light infantry was too vulnerable. And so the vehicle that would eventually be named the Stryker was developed to be that medium-force platform. In the grand scheme of things, the Boxer isn't that much younger/newer, entering service in 2009. In fact, development timelines overlap a fair bit, and it even looks like the German, British and French governments had been working in close cooperation to develop a post-Cold War M113 replacement about 5 years before Stryker development began. France would leave the program in 1999 and the Brits would follow in 2003, leaving the work to Germany and the Netherlands, with the latter joining in 2001. We imagine the Americans' ability to get the Stryker into service sooner after the start of development was due to the fact that it was based on an existing platform, the LAV-3 used by Canadian forces. The LAV-3 itself was a development of previous LAV generations, something we discuss in great detail in a separate video which you should definitely check out after this. Anyway, we mention all this to say that Boxer development appearing to take more than a decade longer than Stryker isn't a totally fair comparison, although it also wouldn't be a stretch of the imagination to say that the early multinational nature of Boxer could have slowed its progress. Based on what the Boxer has become, it's clear that the Europeans also saw their 8x8 as the foundation of a medium force. In fact, when France left the Boxer program, its equivalent vehicle, the 8x8 VCBI, was also meant to be a self-deployable platform that sat between the weight, armor and firepower of tanks and the lightweight, lightly armored but highly mobile infantry. These days, the Boxer is the basis of Germany's relatively new medium forces, whose brigades are tasked with rapid deployment to NATO's eastern flank. And so, from the background and usage alone, we can see that the platforms have similar roles. But how do their base technical specifications compare? This is a pretty tough one to answer, considering how many Stryker and Boxer variants exist, and that's not even considering different generations. But taking the latest data available for the latest generations, here are some basic stats for the Stryker A1 and Boxer A3. The Stryker A1 features a 450 horsepower engine and its upgraded suspension supports a gross vehicle weight of 60,000 pounds or 27.2 metric tons. Meanwhile, the Boxer's engine has an output of about 711 horsepower and the platform is said to support a weight of up to 45 metric tons. The Stryker's dimensions vary depending on role, but length for most variants is about 7.4 meters, while basic width is about 2.85 meters. The Boxer has a length of 8.33 meters and a width of 2.99 meters. And so it's clear that these two vehicles, while meant to be medium-force platforms, are very different in their size and weight, neither one being amphibious. The Boxer is about a meter longer and a little wider, but most notably its maximum weight is about 50% higher than Stryker, requiring a much more powerful engine to go with this increased weight. As an infantry carrier, the Stryker can transport a 9-person squad, while the Boxer in the same role carries only 8 fully equipped soldiers at the most. And so it's interesting how the Stryker can transport an additional dismount despite its size. This is likely due to the fact that it's not modular like the Boxer, with that modularity leading to extra weight. We'll get to that modularity later on, but in terms of armor and protection, both platforms now have a double V hull, making them both resistant to mines and IEDs. According to Army recognition, the Stryker's hull is designed to deflect blast forces and is supplemented with bolt-on ceramic armor, a Kevlar spall liner, and blast attenuating seats, achieving protection classified as Stanag Level 4 against 14.5mm armor-piercing rounds. Without that added armor, the Stryker only has all-round protection against 7.62mm ball ammunition, and then frontal arc protection resistant to 14.5mm fire was Stanag Level 4. And then, according to the website Key Military, officially Boxer's protective qualities are classified, but initially drive modules were protected by welded steel armor able to resist 30mm fire in the frontal arc, or NATO Stanag Level 6, and all-round protection resistant to 14.5mm fire was Stanag Level 4. And so we can see another reason for the Boxer's increased weight would be its more robust armor up front, offering more protection in this area compared to the Stryker. There are just so many different types of Strykers and Boxers: troop carrier, IFV, medevac, command, mortar, and many, many more. And so with this in mind, we won't be comparing each separate version. The website United States Military News reports that all Stryker family variants are built on a common chassis and that there are 18 variants, 10 flat-bottom variants that have model names/numbers M1126 through to M1135, plus another 8 double V hull variants, although the source does not list model names for this category. A source that we're always a little reluctant to use, Wikipedia, lists the double V hull variants, those which also have engine and electrical upgrades, with model numbers ranging from M1251A1 through to M1257A1 inclusive. But then there's also the odd two out in terms of model number sequence, the M1304 and the M1265A1. Also missing from the United States Military News article is the M1296 Infantry Carrier Vehicle Dragoon, a vehicle that was replaced by its A1 update, the aforementioned M1304. And so we're counting about 20 Stryker variants. However, if we consider that essentially half of the list are A1 updates to the older half, then the Stryker family has closer to 10 different variants/functions. It's also a bit messy and confusing on the Boxer side, as some sources state 13 variants, while graphics like this show 16. But then we also have to remember that even if a specific variant/Boxer mission module is available on paper, it doesn't mean that it's been purchased by any militaries. As just one example, it looks like the Boxer mobile gun system sees a mission module from Belgian company John Cockerell. Fitted with a Cockerell Defense 3000 series turret armed with a 105mm NATO standard tank gun, we couldn't find any customers/users of this module. But with all of this in mind, we can see that the Boxer and Stryker are versatile in their roles thanks to the development of numerous variants. Of course, this is where we have to finally explain the Boxer's unique modularity, where the platform is separated into two pieces, the drive module and mission module. This design allows for mission modules to be swapped in and out. According to the platform's maker, a swap can be completed in under 30 minutes using tools like this Scorpion offered by Rheinmetall or other heavy-duty cranes. Another benefit of this level of modularity is the ability to keep more assets in the fight. For example, if a drive module is damaged, the mission module can be lifted onto another one while the damaged section is being repaired. Obviously, it's the same concept for a damaged or faulty mission module. Whether the Boxer's modularity and increased armor is worth the extra weight is the big question. We did outline some of the benefits of modularity, but a fleet of Boxers compared to the equivalent number of Strykers will burn much more fuel, requiring a larger logistical footprint. Boxers will also be more restricted with bridge crossings, as small town and rural bridges may not be able to support their weight. Their weight may also put them more at risk of sinking into soft ground, thus increasing the need for rescue vehicles. Air transportability is another factor to consider. For example, a C-17 would be able to carry up to 3 Strykers at a time, while the same aircraft would be limited to 2 Boxers. The social media post by defense analyst Nicholas Drummond states that although the Airbus A400M can carry up to 40-ton loads, the rear ramp is limited to 32 tons, and so the vehicle needs to be split into driveline and mission modules for carriage. And so it's stated that 2 Boxers of any type will need to be transported by 3 A400Ms. And when it comes to the C-130J Hercules, it's capable of transporting a single basic Stryker and not much else due to size and weight limits. But one is better than none, as the same cannot be said of the Boxer, which is most definitely too big and heavy for this aircraft. With all of this in mind, the strategic air transport of Boxers requires more assets compared to the Stryker, as well as potential pre-flight disassembly and reassembly at the destination. And so there's a lot to think about when comparing the two platforms that can sometimes have similar roles, but are obviously quite different in size and weight. But what do you think of the Stryker and Boxer families? Do you think one is better than the other, or does it all come down to the mission and battlefield environment? Let us know by leaving a comment.